Hello everyone, today we're going to do a guisado de res. That's going to be using plum tomatoes, serranos, an onion, some garlic, a little bit of cilantro, some oregano, and some cumin. This oregano is Mexican oregano, a little bit different than your regular oregano that you find at the grocery store. But I'm sure you can go to any Mexican market near you and find it there. This is a chuck roast. They're great for braising, for chopping up and cooking for a long time. There's a lot of connective tissue and fat that goes through it. I like it. I think they're really great for long dishes such as stews. You can break through it pretty easy. Just find some connective tissue and just tear it apart. And you can clean it up and remove all the fat and all the connective tissue, but I kind of like it. So for this dish, I'm just gonna chop it up into bite-sized pieces, or maybe a little bit bigger, because when you start cooking this meat, it'll shrink. So all this connective tissue and fat that I'm leaving on there, some of it will melt away, some of it will stay and give you a bit of texture after it's done cooking. And I like that kind of stuff. If you don't, you can feel free to trim it up and take all that fat away. Alright, so hot pan, oil, and I have my cut beef, and I have all my cut vegetables. You see my tomatoes there, and serrano peppers, garlic, an onion. You can cut your onion any way you want. You can dice it or you can slice it. I like it sliced, so that's what I'm going to do. Don't worry about overcrowding the pan here. Just put the meat in here at an even layer and give it a little bit of salt, and that'll help release some of the water content that the meat is holding. And that's what my goal here is, to release all the liquid from the meat so I can get a good sear. After all that liquid is gone and only the fats are left, then you begin to fry the outside of the meat you just put in here. So we'll just cook this out and let it do its thing. If you look closer, you can see all the liquid bubbling that the meat is releasing, and that'll just evaporate, and just let it continue cooking until you don't see that anymore. So now you begin to see that there is no more water from the meat. You just have the fats that remain and giving the meat a great color. You're also building a fond on the bottom of the pan, and that's just another added layer of flavor that's going into this dish. We'll add all our vegetables, toss those around. I'm going to add a little bit of cumin in here and my Mexican oregano. And remember the salsa that we made in the first video? I'm going to add a little bit of that too. I'm going to give this a good toss. Mix it all around. Get all those flavors all incorporated in there. And I'm going to add a little bit of water in here. Maybe about a cup. I'll add some cilantro sprigs and reduce the heat to low. And I'm going to cover this up and let it stew for a few hours, maybe 2.5 to 3 hours, and see what happens. Meanwhile, while that's cooking, let's make some rice. I have some long grain rice that I've washed and rinsed, and I'm going to add this to a hot pan with oil, and I'm going to toast the rice first before introducing any liquid to it. Traditionally, this dish comes with rice and beans, and so that's what I'm doing here. And just toss it around a bit. Don't let it burn on the bottom, so just keep it moving, and slowly the rice will give you a nice golden color. I'm going to then add half an onion and some garlic, and again, get color to it. I want a nice golden color. I want to see the onion caramelize a little bit. I'm going to then add some plum tomatoes that I put in a blender with some garlic powder and chicken stock. And if you check down below, I'll give you the recipe for the rice as well. What you want is really hot liquid. So my chicken stock was hot. That way you keep that heat constant, and you want to see that bubbling as soon as you put that liquid in there. I'm also going to reduce my heat to low at this point. And I'm also going to taste for salt. You want it a little bit more salty than usual. You want it a little bit stronger because all that rice is going to absorb a lot of salt. So you want it to be on the stronger side. Here I'm just going to add a little bit of cilantro sprigs, and I have a serrano that I cut in half, and I'm going to throw that in there as well. I'll cover it up and let it cook for about 20 minutes on low. After 20 minutes, you can grab a fork and fluff up your rice. All that flavor most times rises to the top. So when you fluff your rice, you want to mix in all that flavor that went to the top and distribute it evenly throughout the rice. I'll then cover it again and let it sit for another 20 minutes off the heat. Let's go back and check on our guisado. Here it's been braising for about 2 hours or so. I can see that the meat is getting soft. All those flavors are coming together. Smells fantastic. Here I'm going to give it a little taste and adjust my seasoning. I'm still going to reduce this liquid uncovered on low heat to thicken up the sauce. So I'm going to go a little light on the seasoning right now because when it reduces, those flavors intensify. You don't want it to be too salty. So after reducing my liquid there, let's plate up. Here I have the tomato rice that we made earlier. Here you can see that the sauce is nice and viscous. I have some pinto beans that I mashed up. And I have a tortilla de harina that I'll teach you how to make on the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.